Hello, lovely people. Welcome to today's episode of Reality TV News. Reminding you, we post videos daily, so if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any important update. Okay then, the first update we have today is, well, it's centered on a recent high-profile plea for a presidential pardon from a very well-known face in the reality television world. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the layers of this developing situation, examining the background that led us here, the complex family dynamics involved, and what this whole scenario truly illustrates about the profound long-term impact of legal decisions on individuals and their loved ones. Our central figure for this deep dive is Giudice, an alum of Real Housewives of New Jersey, a show many of you are undoubtedly familiar with. For those who followed the series, Giudice's past legal troubles are, well, they're kind of etched into the show's history. Many will recall that he served a substantial 41-month prison term for charges of bank and wire fraud.
Right. Those charges stemmed from a whole series of financial misrepresentations, things like submitting fake tax returns, hiding assets during bankruptcy proceedings. It was pretty complex.
Yeah, a really complex legal saga that truly rocked his family and, the show itself. But his story didn't end with his prison sentence. Following that time behind bars, Joe's situation became even more intricate due to long-standing immigration issues.
That's a key point. Despite living in the U.S. since he was a kid, he apparently never became a formal citizen.
Exactly. And that led to his deportation back to his native Italy. I think it was 2019.
Sounds right, yeah. And then he eventually moved from Italy to the Bahamas.
Right. So as he himself recently put it, he has been effectively separated from the U.S. for nearly a decade now. That's a significant chunk of his adult life spent, navigating all this from afar. So the core of the recent news we're exploring today is Giudice's very public request to President Donald Trump for a pardon. And this wasn't some quiet petition through the usual legal channels. No, it was delivered with considerable fanfare directly via an Instagram post. Kind of an unconventional approach, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. What's truly fascinating here is the choice of platform and, what that implies. A presidential pardon, at its core, it's a profound act of executive clemency. It's basically an executive order that forgives a federal crime. It can restore rights, mitigate punishments, like in this case, maybe allow him to re-enter the country.
Okay.
And it's different from other forms like commutation, which just reduces a sentence but doesn't wipe the conviction clean.
Right.
Normally, pardon requests go through this whole rigorous process. Department of Justice, a pardon attorney, lots of review.
So not usually an Instagram post then?
Not usually, no. Which raises that important question. Why go public like this? Why social media for something so significant instead of the, established legal avenues? Is it a last resort, maybe? Or is it a calculated strategy leveraging his public profile?
That's a great point. It definitely makes you wonder about the strategy behind it. And Giudice, he didn't really mince words in his message. He posted a very direct message on Instagram, and I want to share his exact words with you. I'm Giudice. I served my time, and I've been deported from the U.S. for nearly a decade. I was raised in Jersey, I'm a father of 4 amazing daughters, and I just want to be allowed to visit them again. President Trump, I respect you, and I'm asking for a second chance. And it wasn't just a general plea either. He made sure to specifically tag both President Trump and his son, Donald Trump Jr., in the post, clearly aiming for maximum visibility, trying to get their attention directly.
Yeah, this direct personal appeal, deliberately woven into a public platform like Instagram. It really demonstrates this modern intersection of celebrity, social media influence, and direct appeals to executive power. It sort of bypasses a lot of the traditional gatekeepers, doesn't it? It leverages his public profile in a very distinct way, maybe increasingly common now.
Next, we are going to talk about the latest from Real Housewives of Miami. So Larsa Pippen was just on Watch What Happens Live, WWHL.
Oh, yeah.
And she definitely spilled some tea. She really got into that whole feud she has going with Lisa Hochstein.
Right, the ongoing drama. What was her take this time?
Well, she claims it all started because Lisa followed her ex, Marcus Jordan, on social media.
Okay.
And Larsa felt, as a friend, Lisa should have just unfollowed him right away. Apparently it took her, forever.
Interesting. And Larsa had that theory about Lisa changing, didn't she? Because of the divorce from Lenny.
Exactly. She thinks the whole messy divorce thing made Lisa, the complete opposite of who she used to be. less nice, basically.
And she even said Lisa's not really a good friend to any of us now. That's pretty harsh.
Yeah, it was intense. She even brought up Lisa's own late father, saying she would have walked to Chicago for her dad if he was sick, kind of highlighting her own values about family.
Wow, that really clarifies Larsa's perspective on loyalty and, how deep those feelings run for her, especially with family stuff.
Definitely. And Larsa didn't stop there. She wasn't shocked about Lenny splitting from Katharina and Alec.
Right. She just knew it wasn't going to last.
Yeah, pretty blunt.
Mm.
But on a happier note, she confirmed she's dating Jeff Coby. Been about 7 months.
Oh, nice. And they're talking marriage.
Seems like it. Jeff was even there in the audience and called Larsa one of the best humans. So, sounds pretty serious.
Good for her. What else did she touch on? Alexia and Todd?
Oh, yeah, Alexia, Napola, and Todd. Larsa basically said she wishes Alexia would just get off the ride. Called it a toxic relationship.
She's not holding back opinions. What about Julia Lemigova and Gertie Obrera? Kind of downplayed the hypocrisy rumors there. Said Julia and Adriana de Mora friendship has changed. They aren't as close, so it's different now.
Okay, that leads into her view on Adriana. She had that interesting comparison, right? Oh, the animal thing.
Yeah.
She called Adriana a chihuahua that likes to bark.
And Larsa sees herself as
A pit bull that's really friendly. Sort of illustrates how she sees their dynamic, I guess.
And she was skeptical about Adriana feeling bad about the Todd comment.
Totally skeptical. Thinks Adriana will just find someone else to throw into the bus next week. Oh, and quickly, she played that game, lower your patch, if he's a match.
Oh, yeah. Who does she go for?
She admitted she was attracted to Craig Conover and Jesse Solomon.
Interesting.
But definitely not Mauricio Mansky, Jesse Lally, P.K. Kemsley, or Dennis McKinley. So there's that.
Good to know.
Ha. Okay, next update we have about Real Housewives Orange County. Let's head over there. Emily Simpson sounds super excited about season 19.
Yeah. What's she saying?
She's hinting it might be the best season to date. Thinks the cast dynamics are great, real friendships forming.
That's always the hope, isn't it? But Gretchen Rossi is back.
Exactly. And Gretchen's history with Tamra Judge is, well, legendary.
So how does that fit into the great dynamics? Emily mentioned something about that, didn't she?
She did. Emily observed Gretchen looking kind of scared of Tamra sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, Emily said she often had to step in and help them talk to each other.
Huh. So Gretchen might be strong in her interviews, her confessionals, but face-to-face with Tamra, maybe not so much.
That's the vibe Emily gave. Interesting contrast, right?
Definitely. Did Emily talk about her own drama?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
She said the person she clashed with most was Katie Janela.
Okay, the newbie.
And she had this funny admission about Alexis Bellino. Said she doesn't miss her on the show, but she thoroughly enjoys fighting with her.
Huh. She enjoys fighting with her. What does that say? Is it just for the cameras, or does she actually, get something out of that conflict?
Right? It's a weird dynamic. Maybe it keeps things interesting for her.
Maybe. It's part of the reality TV game, I suppose. Did she mention Shannon Beador?
She did. Just kind of wish Shannon finds a good guy. Suggested maybe Shannon needs to look for something different because what she's doing isn't working out.
Friendly advice, maybe?
Seems like it. Emily also brought to life a really tough time for her and Shane during filming. Something happened with their son, Luke.
Oh, no. What happened?
She didn't give specifics, just called it a crisis that started happening unexpectedly in real time while cameras were rolling.
Wow, that must have been incredibly difficult.
Yeah, she said they're dealing with the aftermath now. They had to focus so much on Luke that their other kids slip a little, so they're trying to rebalance things.
That sounds really tough. Heavy stuff.
Definitely puts things in perspective. On a much later note, remember those Disney photos Heather and Terry DeBro took that caused a stir?
Vaguely, yeah. The controversial ones.
Yeah, Emily and Gina Kirschenheitering, recreated them.
Oh, really? How did Heather take that?
Emily clarified it was all Gina's idea, and Heather knew it was just in good fun. So, no drama there, apparently.
That's good. It clarifies that it wasn't meant maliciously.
Exactly. And speaking of Gina, Emily talked about their friendship 8 years now.
Wow, that's a long time in Housewives years.
Right. She thinks it works because they're different, Ohio and Long Island, and they haven't been affected by the Orange County vibe. They just stay themselves.
That makes sense. Staying grounded amidst all the chaos.
Okay, let's swing back to Miami. More Real Housewives of Miami drama, this time involving Julia Lemigova.
What's happening with Julia?
Well, she's getting quite a bit of backlash online. It's about her throwing a drink at Gertie Obrera.
Oh, right, that incident. Can you remind us what set that off?
So Julie invited Gertie on a cruise since her wife, Martina Navratilova, couldn't make it.
Okay.
And when Gertie just asked, like, why Martina couldn't go, Julie apparently snapped, called Gertie a psychopath, threw her drink, and then accused Gertie of lying about something. It was really aggressive.
Yikes. Yeah, that sets the scene for a really uncomfortable moment. Viewers weren't happy, I bet.
Not at all. Comments on X were brutal. Things like no justification, people saying they were disgusted. Some noted a real shift in Julia's energy this season.
It evokes a strong negative reaction when things get physical like that, even with just a drink. How did the other cast react?
Well, Adriana Demora jumped on Instagram to support Gertie.
Adriana did. Interesting.
Yeah, she expressed sadness about it and a lot of respect for Gertie, especially mentioning her strength as a cancer survivor. Said we should cherish people who overcome things like that.
That's a powerful statement from Adriana. And Gertie. Did she respond?
She did, on her own Instagram. Very strong message. She said, "Some people like the power of my presence without the presence of my power. I wasn't built to shrink. I was born to shine."
Wow. That really underscores her resilience, doesn't it? It makes you think how personal struggles, like battling cancer, must absolutely shape how you handle public conflicts like this.
For sure. It adds a whole other layer to it. Okay, next update we have about the Valley. Seems Kristen Doute has some thoughts on Janet Caperna.
Oh, really? What's Kristen saying now? She's usually pretty outspoken.
Well, she seemed to agree with a fan online who accused Janet of being slanderous and reckless just to, manufacture a storyline.
Okay, accusing someone of faking drama for the show. What was the specific issue?
It demonstrates this potential double standard fans are seeing. The fan pointed out how Janet kept accusing Danny Bucco of having a drinking problem.
Right, that was a recurring theme.
But then fans also noticed Janet herself drinking shots of margaritas pretty often. Plus, there was that incident where Janet apparently upset Mia Sanchez.
So the fans are saying Janet's calling out Danny's drinking while maybe ignoring her own. That's the accusation.
Absolutely, yeah. And Kristen's reactions online seem to back that up.
How so? What did Kristen do?
She used that, hand-covering smile emoji, responding to someone calling Janet Joyless Janet, and saying she needs to be addressed stat about her drinking.
Subtle, but not that subtle.
Right. And she also seemed to hint she regretted Janet being invited on that Hawaii trip. She said something like, "We try not to live with regrets, however."
Oof. Yeah, that implies a pretty big however. So Kristen definitely isn't Team Janet right now.
Not at all. And what's fascinating is this seems consistent with what Kristen said earlier, on the Valley after show.
What does she say there?
She accused Janet of weaponizing those comments Zach Wickham made just for her own gain, called Janet cruel or mean for no reason, and basically said she doesn't trust her an ounce.
Wow. So this isn't new for Kristen. She sees a pattern in Janet's behavior, a pattern of using things against people.
Exactly. It depicts a pretty deep-seated distrust there. All right, shifting gears again, let's talk about Kristin Cavallari, and her new e-show, Honestly Cavallari, the headline tour.
Oh, yeah, I saw Craig Conover was on it recently. That caused a bit of a stir, right?
It did, because Kristin basically put him on the spot about his relationship timeline with Paige DeSorbo.
Uh-oh. Did she think there was overlap with her?
Yeah, she flat out asked him if he lied about Paige, saying she remembered a little overlap.
Ooh, awkward. How did Craig handle that?
He denied lying, said he and Kristin were just good friends before he and Paige officially got together. But Kristin admitted later in a confessional that, there was more than kissing, maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
And she kind of removed myself when she heard about Paige.
So it really depicts that messy reality of dating, especially when you're all sort of in the same reality TV circles.
Totally. Kristin even called the whole thing a wake-up call that made her want to reel things in.
I bet. Was there some dare involved, too?
Yeah. She dared him to kiss her on stage.
Seriously? While he was with Paige?
Yep. He turned her down because he was dating someone. Later, backstage with Austin Kroll, he was apparently like, this whole king thing was Paige. That was crazy.
Wow. But did he say he would have kissed her otherwise?
He did. He told Kristin later if he hadn't been dating someone, he would have.
And Kristin also talked about her past on the show, right? Like the Hills days?
She did. She brought up those old drug rumors.
Oh, wow. What did she say about that?
She said a producer actually bribed other girls with a Birkin bag to call her out about drugs on camera.
No way. A Birkin bribe.
Yep. She called it really unfair and messy. Said lawyers got involved. She even threatened to quit. It clarifies just how intense and maybe manipulative things could get back then, especially for someone so young.
That sounds incredibly stressful, dealing with that kind of pressure.
For sure. She did say it took her years to take accountability and ownership for her part, whatever that was, and that doing so finally freed her.
That's real growth, so why come back to reality TV now after saying she wouldn't?
Good question. She explained, it felt like it naturally fit into my life since she was doing this podcast tour anyway, and she feels like, honestly, Cavallari is the most real show I've ever done.
Interesting. So maybe she found a way to do it on her terms this time. It does raise that question. Like,
Yeah.
What does it take for someone to find like real authenticity on reality TV after a rocky past?
Yeah, maybe it's about having more control or just being in a different place in life.
Okay, next update we have about Summer House. Big news for Lindsay Hubbard for season 10.
Oh, what's changing for Lindsay?
She's not going to be living in the Hamptons house full-time this season.
Really? That's a huge shift for Summer House. What a change.
It's all about her new role as a mom. Her focus has shifted to parental responsibilities. She welcomed her daughter Gemma with her ex, Turner Kufe, late last year.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. So she'll still be on the show, just less.
Yeah, she said she expects to do the heavy lifting in the city for filming and probably only be out at the house a couple of times. Yeah.
And she sounds like she's in a really good place with co-parenting with Turner.
Oh, yeah. How's that going?
She called them a great team, said they're in lockstep. Thinks that's why Gemma is such a happy baby.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, she had high praise for Turner as a dad. Called him incredible. Said he's obsessed with her, really active and involved.
That's fantastic. Any chance they'll get back together?
She didn't rule it out, didn't rule it in. Said they're still figuring out what our next steps look like. Right now, the focus is just on parenting and Gemma hitting her milestones.
Well, that sounds like a healthy approach, taking it one step at a time.
Okay, and finally, we have a pretty serious update concerning Melissa Gorga from Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Oh, no, what happened? RHONJ is still on pause, right?
Yeah, the show's paused, but this happened off camera. She was in a major car accident recently.
Oh, my God, is she okay? What happened?
Thankfully, yes, she's okay, mostly. But it sounds terrifying. She sets the scene. She was leaving a dry cleaner, and another car just T-boned her.
Whoa.
Airbags exploded, white powder everywhere. The car was leaking something. She said she was in shock. Couldn't even open her door because of the airbag.
Jeez, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, she said she was genuinely scared that it was like gonna blow up. It really brings to life how sudden and scary something like that is.
Absolutely terrifying. So she's okay, and the other driver?
Yeah, the other driver's okay too. Melissa said she's pretty bruised up everywhere, but ultimately all right.
Wow. That's a close call.
Definitely. And it really made her reflect. She was emphasizing gratitude, urging people to count your blessings.
I bet. Moments like that really sharpen your perspective, don't they?
Totally. She said it could have ended up very differently, and she's just so happy that I'm alive and that I came home to my kids tonight.
Yeah. Just glad everyone walked away.
Wow. Okay, we covered a lot of ground today. So